Good afternoon and welcome to the Problem with Being Awake. My name's Ben, I'll be your host, and I want to talk about bravery. Because in the especially last 4 or 5 years, there's been an attack on masculinity and the aspects of an alpha male, or in fact it hasn't been an attack on alpha females, but the aspects that make someone an alpha rather than a beta, which is more leadership qualities, more risk-taking, more likely to start their own business, more entrepreneurship. I mean, you can't demasculize alpha males because they just don't accept it. And to make it look as if children should be that is one of the reasons why the new generation are rejecting all of this woke nonsense, because they don't believe that. Men and women follow their nature. We have a lot of things in common, a lot of things that we're very different on. Women prefer careers with people, and men prefer careers with things. There's a slight crossover there. I prefer work with people. I'm a retired psychologist. Had an accident 5 years ago. Unfortunately, I couldn't practice anymore. So now I do this. But bravery is not when Sam Smith releases his next gender discovery, deeper into the well of depravity that he's already sunk. I mean, honestly, he sung, I won't listen to him anymore because he sung two of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard. And then he came out and he was gay, and I was like, yeah, that perfect. Why not? You know, we live in a world where coming out as being gay really doesn't mean much. You know, it might mean a lot to your personal family life or friends because if you've known them for years and been straight, but generally speaking, if I hear somebody's gay, I think nothing differently about them than if they're straight. My godfather is gay, so I've been around gay people all my life, and I think that's the cultural accepted thing now. So, but it's coming out in this new trans way that's being celebrated by the same people. So it's kind of a big echo chamber on TikTok of people validating each other's insane claims, like men can get pregnant. And Tim Waltz, wait till the first male who has an actual period confirmed by a real doctor before spending 41.5 million on tampons in boys and men's restrooms. Just a bit of advice, because no man has yet to have a period and never will. So it's a bit of a gamble. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know how many people bought them, but I can imagine what they did with them, and it wasn't for the right purposes. So, you know, we call it brave when somebody morbidly obese is on the cover of Vogue. And most of the things we call brave now are acts of self-indulgent, attention-seeking, you know, weird as you can go, out there, airing their dirty laundry in public, as we used to call it. You know, you don't talk about your personal life except with people who are in it. But now people are celebrated for it. And how brave that somebody morbidly obese is on the cover of Vogue. No, because what you're doing is you're then saying that people morbidly obese is fine. The person who's on the cover of Vogue, you don't mention she's likely to die within a few years of that photograph if she carries on. Morbidly obese people do not have longevity of life. You cannot be healthy and morbidly obese, and you cannot be beautiful and morbidly obese, because the human body was not designed to be mortally obese. So when you're out to here and here, I'm sorry, there's no beauty there. There's just an absolute disrespect for yourself and your self-worth. But also, you've got a problem you need to fix before you die. And the last thing we should do is say how brave it is. And what am I now? I'm fattest. It's fine. I'm an ist of something every day. Sometimes twice a day if I make 2 videos. So today I'm being a fattest, whatever. Bravery is actually really important. And I'm going to recontextualize masculinity and bravery in alpha males into this. So one, the best example of bravery, Donald Trump. Okay. When he got shot, I know, from my professional experience, I know full well that his brain would have been flooded with adrenaline directed directly to the limbic system, which is the reptilian part of the brain, deals with fight or flight. And I'll come on to these surveys in a second, but between only 2 or 2.5% of people have that bravery in them. And he did. There was no way of that being faked, because the shot that hit him would have completely thrown every neurochemical out of his mind and caused panic and all sorts of distress, which is absolutely natural. But he chose fight in his limbic system. That's the one that even with hypnosis you can't communicate with. His limbic system said fight. That's his nature. I've had my metal tested. I say I had an accident. There were 2 girls who were being assaulted by a few middle-aged men down the road. I went to help. Turned out I had to take the girl's place. They gave me a beating around my head, which meant I have brain damage, which will kill me before I'm 50. But I'm not a victim of any other person's actions. I've just had to moderate what I do. I grieved for the loss of my therapy career, but then I started getting into doing things online and writing more and, you know, changing and adapting. You have what it's something, but I already knew my metal's been tested before that. And I know I'm the person who runs to the call for help rather than calls the police or ignores it. There are far too many people who ignore it. That's wrong. Calling the police is fine. It's not always that bravery is the right decision, you know, and the thing is, you can only do it in the moment. You act instinctively. If you stop to think about whether you should interact, you will come to think about all the people in your life and blah, 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 blah. And you will think about your kids. And that's quite reasonable. If you assess the situation and you've got kids, it's quite reasonable. You wouldn't jump in. But there are a certain amount of people who just do. And these are the alpha males and females that deserve more credit than they're currently getting in the world. That's the police and first responders. These are people who run towards the fire. These are people who run towards the problem. These are people who put their lives at risk so that others' lives aren't at risk. These are the brave people of the world. Donald Trump showed bravery, and it's an iconic photo. But every single person doing that job, that thankless job of being a policeman, because let's face it, a firefighter, a very admirable job, much more glamorous these days. There's an anti-police idea that's going through the Western world, which I don't like the look of or sound of. It push towards the far left being brave for coming out and being gender queer, two-spirited, omnigendered, pangendered, triple-gendered, demi-boy, girlkin, whatever you like. Pick one of the 474 genders, because I heard somebody recently say there may be up to 1 billion genders. See, it's all well and good to denigrate the police until you need their help. And then what happens? They come protect you anyway. When you're in serious danger, they come protect you, even though you make their life miserable. If you take Minnesota and Minneapolis during the Summer of Love, where 2.5 billion or 2.2 billion, of damages occurred to local businesses, 30% of which were black-owned businesses, but it was just people looting and just displaying disgusting things to the world. Antifa are supposed to be anti-fascist and anti-racist. Why is it they use fascism and racism as their main ways to enforce things? They're not brave. If you tackle an activist, a left-wing activist, there's no bravery in them. face to face, one on one, they shrink, and they can't just, even in a debate, I can debate 100 at a time and not one of them can define their argument in anything other than psychological problems in their head. And it should never have been declassified, all that trans stuff in 2019. There was no reason. It was a mental health disorder for a reason. And now we see why, because trans mania is everywhere. But this is not bravery. The police, the firefighters, the nurses, and the people in your community being morbidly obese is a massively unhealthy thing to do and will lead to early death on every occasion. So seriously, do not say these people are brave, because that is doing them a disservice, completely doing them a disservice. You need to tell them the truth. And with all of you woke lot, the truth is in your mind and it's surreal and it's not reality. And I think you need to check in much more with some more conservative people in your life to find out what reality actually is. Because Gen Z unfortunately got brainwashed into skipping that bit and it's caused all these problems. There's nothing good come from wokeness, only bad. And it's going to end, thankfully, down to Donald Trump, who's going to put a big executive order on making it pretty much non-accessible in America. That's where it came from. That's where it will end. And Britain will follow suit, and so will European countries. So remember, the brave people of this world are not people who need to be demasculated or defeminized. Alpha males are the guys who kind of build your roads, your railways, your airports, the construction workers. That they're the nuts and bolts of society that make society work. It works because alpha males have always had a historic role in running it. And what does that mean? Strong, brave people have always risen to the top and guided civilization. Its history exists to teach us where we went wrong and where we went right. But beyond that, there's nothing about it that we need to apply to the present day. Contrary to popular belief, there isn't. But bravery is something to be celebrated. Alpha males are something to be celebrated. That doesn't mean an alpha male is somebody who talks crap about women and drinks loads of beer and hangs out with his mates. No, you can get male chauvinist pigs, but they wouldn't be alpha males, because an alpha male doesn't feel the need to prove himself. It's only insecure people who need to make a big fuss of things for themselves. So yeah, there are misogynists out there, but like with the gay thing, almost all of us aren't. Like, I don't know misogynists anymore. None. Not at all. So give it a rest on that one as well, please. Think for 1 second that you've learned enough that you know your opinions, because unless you're like breathing your last breath, that is factually not true. And between 20 and 40, I learned 20 times as much as I learned in my first 20 years, I think. That would be a good estimate. So you change over time. So don't think you're the perfect person you are, and stop putting people up as heroes like Dylan Mulvaney and morbidly obese people when that is not who they are, and they should not be what society is celebrating.